Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thank you for subscribing recently. Here to do another Albums of the Year video, 1972, so I'm getting through this. I mean, I'm going to do these all the way up through 2022, so it's like 58 total videos, and, you know, I'm estimating probably take till at least March, and March is kind of a key milestone time anyways for this channel, so anyway, that kind of fits along. I'm thinking of doing one or two other things specifically around that time, but among others, assuming that it all works out. So okay, so I have 21 albums on this list. Again, a lot of the stuff at the bottom, you know, is stuff that is just, you know, stuff that I only vaguely know. Number 21 is the self-titled, I believe it's the debut album. So we have like a lot of self-titled debut albums, of course, around this time, from Styx, which was their sort of psychedelic hard rock prog period. I don't know, I have an album called Man of the Miracles, but that's not the same one. But they have a suite called Movement for the Common Man on this, which is 13 minutes and 11 seconds. So I know the lineup was a little different, but I believe Dennis DeYoung and the Pinozzos, James Young was part of the band. But anyway, the early Styx albums I only know vaguely. I mean, I listen to them sparingly. There's some specific individual tracks I know more than the full records, but this one not so much even compared to some of the ones that followed right after it. So number 21. Number 20, an album that I really thought I was going to love, but it never really gravitated with me. Emerson, Lake and Palmer's Pictures at an Exhibition, which is like, it's basically like adaptation interpretations of a lot of classical pieces. It followed, you know, when this came out exactly relative to Tarkus and then Trilogy. But when I was going to see them with Dream Theater in '98, I bought this, I bought Works, a bunch of their records, and none of the live stuff, I didn't get that into this specifically. I was thinking I was going to love it, but I don't know, it's been a long time since I've revisited this stuff. It might resonate with me more now since it's been so long, but anyway, that's at number 20. Number 19, Neil Young, not his debut album or anything like that, but an album that is a classic, you know, got the picture here. Make sure I'm showing these on the right side here. By the way, I got my Waterloo. The ginger stuff, which isn't exactly easy to find always. Only like Target has it around this area. But anyway, Harvest from Neil Young, which includes the tracks, the title track, but Heart of Gold and Old Man are probably the most well-known songs. The Stray Gators, you know, with the Stray Gators. I don't know. He was with Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and he did, you know, Crazy Horse. He'd done a lot of stuff. He was kind of a troubadour. He would go back and forth like a lot of jazz musicians, Neil Young. But anyway, I think, is this next? Maybe this isn't next. That's number 19. Yes, it is. Number 18, in effect, the debut album from Chick Corea's Return to Forever. It wasn't, quote-unquote, the Return to Forever. I don't even know if Bill Connors plays on this. No, it's Joe Farrell, but Stanley Clarke is on it, and then his wife Flora Purim's on it. But has the self-titled song Return to Forever. And then the 23-minute Sometime Ago La Fiesta. But this is more, as much as he was coming from playing with Miles, it isn't, you know, I mean, there's electric piano on this, but it's not as fusiony as they would become later. You know, that what Mahavishnu was doing around the same time. So that's the Return to Forever from Chick Corea, or Chick Corea's Return to Forever, how you want to say it. Number 18. Number 17, another album I don't have. PFM's album Per Un Amico, which I'm not sure if it was. No, they had a couple albums before this. But this is one of their two most well-known records. Yeah, actually it was their second album, which came out the same year, actually, which I don't know. Storia di un Minuto, which maybe this, because I know they would do is release albums in Italian, and it could be like the same thing, but it's, I mean, sort of it's one of the most recognized among progressive rock circles, Italian progressive rock albums. You know, it's got whatever. I mean, they were doing stuff that sounded a lot like Genesis. I think it was it Greg Lake? Might have been Greg Lake who actually signed them from Emerson, Lake and Palmer to an American label to get this just distributed. But this is all in Italian, though. So Someone says, "Oh, it sounds like Italian's Tarkus." Yeah, go figure. So that's number. I mean, the one after it, I've got a little more familiarity with, but I've heard it. Number 17, number 16, the Rolling Stones, "Exile on Main Street," which is a double album, I believe, and like some of their other records, doesn't have a lot of hits. It's maybe this is one of their most ambitious albums, the post Brian Jones Rolling Stones, at least. Tumbling Dice. There's a few songs on here I recognize, but it was kind of their answer to the White Album in some ways. This is like 3-4 years after the White Album. Casino Boogie, Rip This Joint, Soul Survivor. I guess I admire the ambition for this record, but it doesn't have as many sort of recognizable Stones tracks to even finish higher than this. So anyways, number 16, number 15, the album that I have listened to, but I've always meant to spend more time with this and a couple of his other records, Nick Drake's Pink Moon. I'm really usually mesmerized by the guy's voice, and I love the instrumentation, some of the the acoustics and the acoustic guitar and some of the string sections he brings in. So, known maybe best for the title track, Pink Moon, but yeah, this is a classic, even though he had a short career. I think this was his final record. Yeah, it was his final record, at least while he was alive. Yeah, because he died in 1974, so. But anyway, Pink Moon from Nick Drake. I think if I ever do a Redux, this could be higher, because I have a feeling that I could really love him more than I've ever. I've only invested a little bit of time in his music. So, number 14, Gentle Giant's Octopus. When I was suggested Gentle Giant, this is the album I was suggested to check out first. It has the song Knots. That's the song I know it best for. I know this is like the crappy American cover. The other one's a Roger Dean one, the British one or the European cover. But yeah, I like this. I mean, again, with Gentle Giant, they're a band that I would like to like more than I do. A little bit like who is like Crimson to an extent. I like Crimson more than Gentle Giant, but I've never sort of like been attached to their music, saying I got to listen to this, got to go through the whole catalog. I probably should. Kevin Gilbert became a massive fan like toward the middle and end of his life. He didn't know them growing up, though, I guess. He didn't discover them until he was maybe after high school. But anyway, this is Octopus, number 14 from Gentle Giant. Number 13, well, could be called one of two names. This is known as Children of the Grave from Black Sabbath. Also, it was titled, most commonly known as Volume 4. This is one of my first Black Sabbath exposures, and I listened to this a lot when I never pursued Sabbath. I got that compilation from the Ozzy years, and I didn't really pursue Sabbath that much. I got a live album, but this has Tomorrow's Dream, I always love, Supernaut, Laguna Sunrise, Snowblind, Wheels of... They were doing some progressive stuff with the sort of power chordy, riffy, basically doomy, like proto-doom metal. But I always liked this. You can tell this didn't even have a booklet. This is. I know it's kind of a knockoff because it was known as Volume 4 to most people, but this is the version I got. I don't remember. I paid less money for this. I may have even gotten this from the CD Club, but anyway, from BMG. But anyway, number 13, number 12. David Bowie, again, I don't have it. David Bowie, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, which, I know, like, songs like Suffragette City and, there's a title track on there. There's a couple others that... I like this album. I probably thought I was going to like it more because it's renowned as, like, this massive genius concept record. Starman, that's the other sort of go-to on this record. I know that Rick Wakeman plays on some of it. I'm pretty sure. He played on Hunky Dory, and I think he also showed up on this. Well, maybe not. Yes, he does. He plays some harpsichord. So, it's a good record. The concept is a little bit... I think it goes a little too high in the concept for me to, like, love. But it's not overly melodramatic. But, I like Bowie. I'm a David Bowie fan. But like the Rolling Stones, I've found that I like his songs more often than his albums. There's a few exceptions to that where I just like the whole experience of listening to the whole album together versus specific tracks. But I think of his more for his songs as a songwriter than anything else. So anyway, number 12, number 11. classic live album, like I talked about Live Fillmore East in the last video from the Allman Bros. Deep Purple's Made in Japan, which there's like a, I want to say Space Truckin' on this goes like 20 some odd minutes. It's epic. It's 19 minutes. That's the biggest high. Child in Time is really great on this. Speed King, Highway Star, of course. You know, this is a great, Lazy is another one. It's a great live album, you know, probably, you know, eclipses some of a lot of their studio work, you know, Deep Purple. I'm not a huge Deep Purple fan, but I do like some of their music, and, you know, this was sort of an essential. You got to get Made in Japan. Dream Theater even, it was like at the Budokan, I believe, I think. Maybe. But Dream Theater did play all of Made in Japan live when they were in Japan. Anyway, so number 11, that's number 11. Number 10, I don't have another one. Stevie Wonder's Talking Book. I was thinking my wife had a copy of that, but no luck with... I kind of look at Stevie, the peak of his career was sort of in that early to mid-70s. And he put out 2 albums, Music on My Mind and Talking Book in 72. Talking Book's the one I know better, which has, I want to say, yeah, Superstition. Superstition's the hit on this, but a lot of this, I remember getting these, like those 4 CDs from the library, that, Intervisions, Songs of the Key of Life, and there's one other one. And I love the sort of jazz fusion element he brought in with the funk and the R&B and the pop elements. Yeah, I mean, the early to mid-70s Stevie Wonder you can't go wrong with. I mean, it's probably a little bit low, actually. Or to quote Johan Hallgren from Pain and Salvation, he's always happy, you know? So number 9, oddly enough, I don't have a copy either. I was pretty sure I did, but I did not. I never bought a copy of Renaissance's Prologue, which, of course, has the title track, is the first album, the classic lineup per se, with Annie Haslam on vocals. You know, Michael Dunford became a full-time member. The title track is what I know it best for, but Raja Khan, the 11-minute closing piece, 11.5-minute, Sounds of the Sea, Kiev's another one, which I kind of wonder. I think that Annie on her album, Annie in Wonderland, may have revisited or taken part of. Anyway, it's, I mean, compared to Illusion, you know, it's kind of splitting hairs. It's not my favorite, although I guess I feel like still with the Renaissance stuff with Annie in the 70s, they went on a run that just was so consistent that I would still sometimes pick this as the one I want to listen to. So, anyway, Prologue from Renaissance, you know, the do-do-do-do, I always think of, she wasn't doing as much, like, singing as chanting. Number 9. All right, number 8, another album from Mr. Nesmith. I didn't actually have... his third record, which I'm blanking on the title, the silver or the white one. Tantamount Treason. This is the second national band, not the first national band. And this has my wife's favorite, pretty much my favorite Michael Nesmith song, Wax My Note. Even though he didn't actually write that, it's fantastic. The trippy, you know, like a pedal steel solo is just, it's so good. The way it builds, the way it kind of ends, the segue is just awesome. Mama Rocker's another favorite on this album. Let's see here. In the Afternoon. The whole first side I really love. Lazy Lady. It's not quite as countryish. He was adding some new elements. That was part of what really worked for me on this one. And again, it's my wife's go-to, even though it's her favorite artist. It's like, take your favorite band or your favorite musician and then your favorite album from them. This would be it from her. So, that's number 8. Number 7, it's progressive. That is progressive country, if you ask me. Country rock. Deep Purple shows up again with their classic studio album, maybe the peak of their the Mark II lineup. Machine Head, which, you know, has their most well-known song, Smoke on the Water, Highway Star, Space Truckin'. I want to say, I can't remember. I haven't even opened this. I bought this probably a decade ago. You know, knowing my Deep Purple history, for what I do know, I know that Made in Japan was like a tour to support this, obviously, because it had stuff like Highway Star and Space Truckin'. Let's see here. Yeah, because Fireball I didn't include on my 71 list. I probably should have. Lazy's one. Yeah, I was thinking Women from Tokyo, but Women from Tokyo must be on the previous record. Pictures of Home. Yeah, I mean this is like a go-to if you're into like heavy hard rock. History of Hard. This is it. This is like one of. And of course, there was the band called Machine Head, which took. I don't know. I assume they got their name basically from that. So number six, number five, number six. That was number seven. Number six. Some people are gonna think this is kind of sacrilege to have it this low, but yes, it's close to the edge. Say my piece again. Repeat it. Siberian Copter is my favorite piece. The title track is nice, and You and I is nice. The church organ bugs me. You know, it's been praised to no end the last probably 10 to 15 years, especially among prog circles. It's the definitive record of prog, definitive Yes record, definitive record of, like, you know, composition and, you know, whatever. I like it, but I don't find it to be, you know, the thing to worship the way a lot of people do, and I think Yes made other records better. But it's still a good record. I used to fall asleep to this thing in my jukebox CD player. I used to have these weird dreams of the atmosphere from the title track, and anyway, and that film of those students is hilarious. I still love that. I forget what it's called, like Be Careful What You, or All Good People. All Good People on YouTube was made like, I want to say about 12 or 13 years ago. It's hilarious how it ends up on college radio with Paris Hilton and some other stuff. So number five, Wishbone Ash, is Argus. I talked about this in the A to Z, the vinyl A to Z. Sometime World totally reminds me of Yes. It's a very fun, uplifting, like hippie-ish, doom buggy album. And I never found that Wishbone Ash did. They have that twin guitars in it. They did anything better. I haven't heard anything, at least by them, that I like more. And I've seen them live like 2 or 3 times, but yeah, the Darth Vader. I don't know if this was foreshadowing Darth Vader. Probably not, but some guys going into battle. But yeah, Wishbone Ash is Argus. Great record. Number five. Number four, we got Emerson, Lake and Palmer, a.k.a. ELP, with Trilogy, their third proper studio album, which has a lot of their like classics. Endless Enigma, From the Beginning, was like a classic rock song that got played a lot. The Sheriff, Hoedown, Trilogy. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, the first record, Tarkus, this, you know, they had a good run of records. They were pretty consistent, ELP. Number three, record I love, some people think is uneven. I've always worshipped for like the past 25 plus years. Pink Floyd's Obscured by Cloud, the soundtrack to the Valley or La Vallée. Love Childhood's End, the gold that's in the What's the Deal. When you're in, the opening gets kind of loud. Burning Bridges. Free 4 is kind of poppy. It's great. It almost sounds like British Invasion kind of stuff, like The Who or something. But Stay, Absolutely Curtains. This is Less is More, and it's Floyd. You know, I don't know if I ever opened this. Is it colored? No, it's just black. I just thought this was a great collection of songs. I know it was right before they were going to do The Dark Side of the Moon, and I just think The Dark Side of the Moon has gotten worshipped and overplayed, whereas this is like a gem, a hidden gem, and that's why I've grown to love it. The movie is kind of interesting too, although the weird thing about the movie is, like I mentioned in the vinyl A to Z, is it doesn't, the music in it, a lot of the songs basically show up in the first 30 minutes, and then it's like, the rest of it you don't hear. It's a lot of just like background stuff. So number two, Genesis's Foxtrot. At one point was my favorite Genesis album. It's kind of, again, splitting hairs. Supper's Ready is a fantastic epic. I mean, it's their one real proper epic that Genesis did. You know, the Willow Farm section, Apocalypse of 9/8, and there's just goosebump moments throughout that piece. I also love a few other tracks on this record are just fantastic. Wash of the Skies is nice. The whole, I mean, I think I mentioned this in the vinyl A to Z. The whole Morse code thing with the Mellotron and Horizons. Let me just pull it up, just because, you know, having a visual guide is easier. What am I not remembering right now? This doesn't actually have the track list on the jacket, though, which is weird. I don't know if it has the movements. I think it probably does. Lover's Leap, yes. Which, you know, if you ask me to name off the movements of Supper's Ready, I always thought Horizons, the theme from Make-A-Wish, was basically borrowed. I always wanted to find something that said that. Can Utility and Course Liners. I love the Mellotron on that. Get them up by Fridays. It's quirky and odd, and I always think of the movie Brazil with that. There's like an odd kind of the story, the story or the premise of people being forced out of their homes based on genetics. It's just and Brazil the movie, the Terry Gilliam movie, kind of addresses some of that kind of society is a little bit like that as well. So iconic artwork. I always think of Dr. Moreau's Island also with like a fox, like a person that the genetic experimentation. Of course, it's a woman with a fox head. That Peter Gabriel wore, and and these fish heads on these soldiers and stuff. And coming down to number 1, it's not Genesis. It's going to be Jethro Tull with my favorite Jethro Tull album, the masterpiece, the newspaper album, Thick as a Brick, the one piece. It's, again, like Supper's Ready. It's like doing that, but it's for 40 minutes. Goosebumps throughout, the riffing, that section that goes, da na 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 na. That's my favorite section. They reprise that melody a couple times, at least twice on the second side. At least once, rather. They reprise at least once, but it's a trip, and it's kind of less is more, because, I want to hear the whole thing when I hear it, generally. I don't love hearing just the whole Thick as a Brick theme that, dun, 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 that's fine. That was released as a single, but to me, it's one piece. It's one song, and it's 40 minutes, 41 minutes long, or whatever. So that's my 1972 list. Please post in the comments your 1972 list. Again, please subscribe, give it a like, and we'll see you next time.